And before we dive into some meatier content, I really want to zoom out and talk about how community is a strategic superpower, right, for all of us. Companies understand this. Some community members understand this. We, of course, are community builders and understand this. And this is a power we cannot wield lightly. It's really important that we are at the top of our professional game so that we can best serve our communities. And there's a lot that is packaged up in that. So let's dive in. So as I mentioned, last year when the global pandemic first hit, TripActions really, our CMO thought of the idea of let's just get a community spun up. It was really under a moving target. Get it spun up because the pandemic really disrupted our industry, right? TripActions is a corporate travel and spend platform. Travel is still a complex legacy industry. What this means is there's still so much manual work for people that are using our competitors. I mean, there's people still like hand scanning and faxing receipts in, and we take that out of the picture, thank goodness. But the needs of companies and different travel program admins and expense finance leaders really changed overnight because of the pandemic. These personas were frustrated and really couldn't do their jobs properly as their jobs were shifting so quickly. So as a result, many companies shifted to TripActions' modern tech-powered travel and expense platform. It's very like consumer grade ready. As I mentioned before, our community was born out of pure necessity and needed to be spun up quickly. Customers wanted to connect with industry peers to crowdsource solutions, ideas, to problems that the global pandemic caused them and caused their company. The community was able to offer async-friendly learning and engagement. That's important no matter what, but especially important as people's schedules shifted and maybe they were working night shift versus day shift due to, being a caretaker or parent or what have you. And TripActions honestly wants to stay as close as possible to our customers, their feedback, their ideas, constructive criticism that they have. That's the only way we're going to get better, and community is the way to do it. So after the community was spun up, after the great idea, TripActions saw customers, partners, and colleagues jumping into the community to help each other during a really unsure time. I just have a couple examples here on the bottom here. Lena from our partner, she's from Radisson Hotel Group. She actually jumped in to share some updates and be there to listen and to guide. We have a customer up top, Kristen, who actually was responding to another customer who shared out business travel continuity framework that Kristen found valuable. And fast forward to about a year later, we really did reintroduce and relaunch the community, right? Now there's actually true metrics behind it, a platform roadmap, a strategic roadmap, a programmatic roadmap. And we have a full marketing plan and communications plan around promoting the community and making sure our customers, our colleagues, partners, and other people who are interested in the travel spend industry can get into the community. And there's 4 specific areas, and they'll be growing over time, that the community focuses on. Discuss, this is where customers can have just a classic Q&A forum, right? People can ask questions, throw out ideas. Discover is our really rich knowledge base that my colleague Evelina and her team create, manage, and enhance articles every day so that customers can self-serve. We have a really robust online TripActions Learning Academy where people, again, can take classes async on their own time, be able to learn more not only about our platform, but about the industry in general. That's really important as more people are kind of thrown into, travel program admin roles or other kind of roles that maybe they weren't prepared for. And last but not least, we recently launched Connect, which is a new section just focused on targeted groups that are focused on different interests around products, affinities that our customers have. And our mission, it's pretty aggressive, but I think we're on the way to do it, right? Become the vibrant, indispensable hub for people across the travel and expense industry to learn, connect, support, and advocate. And internally, our community is the glue across our organization. It really benefits the entire company. Just touching on a few points here. For the product team in our community, we can get actionable feedback, and we're already seeing that. Not only that, actionable and heavily detailed, right? I think it's one thing when a customer can say, well, I don't really like this feature, or I haven't adopted that thing. We don't know why. So in the community, people are writing like full out, sometimes, paragraphs about the use cases they have to maybe get a feature added. So this is really helpful, actionable insights that I can package up and others can package up and take to the product org and other people who are influential in making those roadmap decisions. Within customer success, which is the organization that I report into, we're able to help customers self-serve. Of course, customer needs to get the support that they need, but there's lots of different types of support. There's lots of different kinds of situations where they can actually go to the community and not have to open a case. And that helps our teams focus on the most value add cases, the cases that cannot be solved by scaled knowledge or a discussion or best practice. So the 5 early indicators we've seen so far, and I'm saying early because the community in its current form launched about 2 months ago, maybe like a couple weeks before I joined TripActions. But we're seeing already some indicators are telling us we are on the path to being long-term successful. One is we got a customer speaker, a vibrant customer speaker on a community webinar. Number 2, we are already seeing actionable product insights. Number 3, people are already sharing constructive feedback on the community and off the community in one-on-one email threads. Number 4, we're already seeing and have seen customer-led discussions. I think that's really important, that it's not just one-sided TripActions posting announcements and updates. I think that's to be expected that we do that, but we really want over time, it's more customers. And number 5, internal community advocates have already appeared across the company. So digging into the first one, right? Having a customer speaker on a community webinar. So I joined TripActions in mid-June, and my colleague, Christine, who is amazing from the enablement team, reached out and said, hey, do you want to do a webinar on the community? I think it was like 10 days for my first day. And I was like, oh, sure, I'm game. Let's do it. No quicker way to learn. And she was also asking me to recruit a customer. So I was like, wow, I don't know anyone yet. No one knows me or trusts me yet. So I was able to quickly build a relationship with a customer who was already active in our soft launches and official launch before I joined. And what I did was, continue to build that relationship with her and her trust quickly. And then she was able to join and share her insights. And it's so important when we're telling other people to join the community that they don't just hear it from the community manager, right? A customer who finds value in the community, sharing her stories, that's really important. So that was a great experience. And we were actually followed up that webinar in July with another webinar featuring a different customer that I was able to recruit for that. So we want to keep that going, that momentum. Actionable product insights, right? This is just one example, but we already have customers consistently coming to the community to talk about what they think is missing, what they think could be better. And in this example, this customer not only shared feedback, but is curious about what other people are doing, right? So we had different people chiming in that were customers, as well as TripActions teams with their ideas. Constructive feedback. This might be hard for some of us. Sometimes it's hard for me, but I also know it's about trust. If someone trusts me or trusts the community experience, then they're not going to hold back, and they shouldn't, right? In the first example on top, Andrea mentioned that she thinks that there's a lot of bugs. She's not seeing the product working the way she directly expects. She also gave some feedback on maybe some content that could be clearer. So that's one, and we actually followed up with Andrea, the different teams that work on these different things, followed up and made sure she was taken care of. And not only just for her, but replying publicly to her, that shows, that signals to others, this is a place where your feedback is not just going to go into the ether. Someone's going to review it and make a plan around it and follow up. Now, the second one is personal to me because a customer who was involved in our soft launch, our official launch, has been an amazing advocate. He's based out of Sweden. So there's been some mix-ups, right, with the handoff of different people building the community, different teams coming together. His gifts, his swag got lost. But this wasn't about his swag. It was about the trust. Again, I keep coming back to that. And he felt like maybe the trust is not fully there between the two parties. So we were able to jump in, not make excuses, get this cleaned up, and actually have a fun bonus slide at the end to show what happened there. But needless to say, JB, this customer, is back in full force, posting in the community and just being a great advocate for our company. Number four, customer-led discussions. Like I mentioned before, it's so important that as your community is growing, of course, in the beginning, it's gonna be, a lot of trip actions. I feel like every time I open up the community, I see my profile picture everywhere. I am the community builder. But my job is to make more leaders, more builders, whether they're customers, colleagues, or partners. So it's great to see that more and more people are learning, learning community. Community is not something most people just grasp overnight, right? And trusting that the time they spent crafting a post is going to lead to some kind of outcome. And the last one, this is like the raw slide, right? We are also building an internal community. I cannot stress how important this is. If you're only building your community just for the members in there and you're not socializing what the community is about, its value, sharing out metrics, other key performance indicators, people internally are not going to care. And those are the people that need to be your advocates for your budget, for your head count, for things that you need to get done to deliver a better experience. So we've got just some fun, great progress on things coming from our CS leader. Christine, who I mentioned before, my webinar partner in crime, actually got the community added and featured in our customer onboarding series. And even Kelly, who was our leader of PR and communications, is getting good calls, positive calls from reporters who are actually scanning the community looking for ideas on stories and following up on tips. So really great to see that already in its youth, the community is providing value and people are seeing it. So let's move on past surviving, which was really last year. And I mean, we're still in survival mode for most of us in the pandemic, but we really want to lean into thriving. So 5 tips for making community lemonade out of lemon. And that's a plug for, we do have a personal travel product called Lemonade, but it's also a good analogy. So number 1, you've got to run your community like a business, right? It is not just about getting in there, responding, being empathetic, being providing value. That's great. That's what you're supposed to be doing. That's table stakes. You need to have roadmaps for your strategy. If you have a platform that needs development, mapping that out ahead of time, not having last minute things coming up, right? Preventing as much of that as possible, and really reporting out on the impact or reporting out on blockers that are preventing you from making the full impact. Number 2, invest the time in one-to-one relationships. Communities are meant to scale over time. You're not going to get there without making strategic investments in one-on-one partnerships with your colleagues. When people reach out and ask me to do internal demos, I get that person to invite a couple more buddies. I do a demo, and yes, that's an hour of my time, but they will in turn become great advocates and supporters. The third one, which I mentioned before, is expect and embrace constructive feedback. Don't be a victim of it. Don't feel like you were attacked. Feel like, okay, this person trusts me, that I will do the right thing and follow up and get things done. The fourth is work with experts. I, by no means, can code. I can't develop. There's lots of things I am not good at, and nor do I apologize for that. What's important is that I can work with people who are great at different things, and it's development, it's IT, marketing, content, enablement. These are all people that have helped build the community and still do to this day. And the last is wear multiple hats, but strategically. I know community builders, we have to wear multiple hats, and that can be exhausting and maybe even frustrating sometimes. But I would say this is another one you want to lean into. What do you want to be known for? What do you want your community to be known for? Lean into those areas and switch the hats as needed, or make it a scarf or something. I don't know. You got to kind of roll with how things are moving. And this was the bonus slide, so fun. So JB, that customer who was irate about us missing all the swag deadlines, after he got his swag, he realized, okay, we pulled the full stops to get everything he needed. And he actually came back and posted in the community. And one of his first posts was really like a love letter to our product. I mean, this was definitely unprompted. And it was an open letter to our co-founders and the entire TripActions community. So I shared that into, this is from a Slack, an internal Slack to the entire company. And it's great to see that, we can celebrate these things. Of course, we still have tons of work to do, but it's always great to celebrate this. Just wanted to say thank you. If you get a chance, visit the TripActions community. I'm in there, so come say hi. Let's continue to learn from one another so we can make this community profession great. All right.
Hello.
Ooh, I need to stop sharing, my bad.
That's all right. You did a great job, and people
Okay.
are loving you in the chat. We have
Uh-oh.
questions, so
Cool.
should we just dive straight in?
Let's do it.
All right, so let's come to here. So if you have any more questions, drop them in the Q&A tab. We'll get through as many as we can. So first one is from Aaron. Is this platform community-led or TripAction employees, is what he's written.
Oh, well, it's owned and operated by me and different teams at TripActions, but I would say it's really owned by the people who are in there, the members, right? That's hopefully that addresses your question. Maybe there's a follow-up or something.
There is actually another question. I don't know if it's a follow-up from that one, but he's asking, may you elaborate on the featured community member program?
Featured community member program. We do feature community members like on our homepage, so people can kind of get an idea of who's in there, right? Before they join, they want to know, are other travel program admins in there? Are there expense leaders in there? What kind of content are they sharing? Aaron, is that what you were addressing?
We'll see if he does a follow-up question to that. I'm going to move on.
Okay.
So Lauren says, how often are you doing community webinars? What is the cadence for those? And how do you select topics and speakers?
Great. So being brand new, we've already had one every month I've been here. Well, no, we had one in June and July, not in August. So we are not on a cadence yet. So that's probably something I need to get back on track. I think it's great when you can deliver things and have impact, but making sure it's something, a repeatable process. And in terms of picking, so that's a follow-up for me. So thanks for that. In terms of picking the speaker, sometimes it's like winging a prayer, right? You got to make sure like there's customers who can speak. I think for the most part, if you ask in a way that's more like what's in it for them, how does this elevate their company and their brand versus, oh, I need you to now spend an hour, 15 minutes in green room, 45 minutes with us, right? Because I don't know that many people would jump at that. So it's helping them elevate their own, level up their game and share maybe some strengths that they don't get to share every day because they're just busy in the grind.
Yeah, no, definitely. Next question is Jolene. What are your top tips for internal engagement?
Oh, that's a good one. Great question. Near and dear to my heart because I do have a background as an internal communications professional. So I utilize a lot of those strengths from there. But I would say number one, a lot of it is consistency and transparency. So I believe the first week when I got there, I already started, and before my manager, Shelly, already had like a weekly update on the community, right? So I took that over from her, fleshed it out, added like KPIs that I need to be tracking and hold myself accountable to. And then people want to see that we're running like the rest of the businesses, like sales reports out on their progress, product does. So I think that also gains credibility immediately. So if someone is not really understanding community or its value or how they can play a role, I think as soon as you can show people, oh, I'm already tracking this, here are my blockers, here's my impact, here's our impact, then people open their eyes and ears. And then from there, that's when you can open the doors a little bit wider. But again, it's like building any community. There's going to be people that you're quickly going to get their attention. They're going to start jumping in and doing things right away. There's others who are, either for time or other constraints, not sold on it. So you just focus on those who are willing, able, and listening.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, moving on because we've got a lot of questions. Kelsey says, what have you found to be the best way to engage your customer and come back to the community?
Ooh, wow, that's a tough one, I have to admit. I think you definitely have strategies, right? You want to make sure you have consistent content in there. And by content, that's several different things. That's the content that's in the training academy, of which I don't craft, right? There's people in the company who craft that content, make sure those modules are up to date and valuable. So pointing out that content, because the community, at least ours, is pretty complex. There's lots of different rooms people could be in and experiences. So promoting the content that's in there, but also saying why it's valuable. Not just take this training, but take this training so that you can learn more about the industry maybe you're new to or something like that. I would say for engagement, like trying to get more people to participate, I think a lot of the work also needs to be done like it's like below the iceberg. I don't know if that's the right metaphor, but you have to do a lot of the modeling because I think most people know about the 99-1 rule. I don't think everyone agrees with it, but the majority of people in online communities aren't the one creating the content, writing, posts and all that stuff. They're not doing it. The majority of people are the ones who are watching, listening, reading, downloading. So a lot of your work is for those people. So when you do find someone like Emmy or Ariel, who are both guest stars from the community on our webinars, that's when you kind of lean into it and see what other things could they do, again, that helps them, but at the same time helps our community.
Yeah. And the lovely lurkers, because we know you're there. We appreciate you. And, as you said, the 1991, again, it's a rule that's a controversial rule, I would say.
Yeah.
The fact, and we still need to make sure that we acknowledge that they're there. So yeah,
absolutely.
Totally.
And I think arming yourself with specific data points, right? So obviously executives, they're going to look really quickly on their phone, look at the community and say, why is it Phoebe in there posting? Actually, executive did say that to me. Why don't we have like all these customers posting? So it's not about making excuses for that. It's like, okay, but I want to also arm them with the fact, it's a proven fact that actually the majority of people are coming to our community from Google search, about 80%. They're going to knowledge articles. And leaning into how can we kind of measure the value there, right? While we're trying to build that engagement muscle out, which takes much longer to build.
Definitely. All right, we have a few more questions. Madeline says, what were your most successful promotion tactics when reintroducing?
There's a few tactics. This was actually taken care of before I joined the community, before I joined the community, joined the TripActions Community. We had a consultant, Erica Cool. I think many people know her. She was really working so closely with our customer success leader and my manager, Shelly. And one of the ideas that they came up with and executed was, a really end-to-end kind of communications plan that include like blog posts from the marketing team, one-to-one reach out to customers that we know are pretty vocal and active just online and in general. And then launching like a campaign of sorts where we kind of rewarded people for engaging, for signing up, adding profile photo, jumping into discussions. So that was a great way to kind of get people excited and motivated. I wouldn't say that's something you continue to do again and again, because you can't keep going back to the same well. I think that's good when you have a big splash to make, but the day-to-day is really not focused around that kind of work. It really is building those relationships and going back to show the time you spent here, colleague, community member, this is what it's leading to.
Yeah, no, completely agree. Okay, I'm going to squeeze in one more question.
Cool.
Lauren's asked, product feedback and getting your product and engineering leaders to take action on it.
So I'll be really honest there. I haven't gotten direct leadership to take action. We are still, crafting out the onboarding plan. So we announced to the company, so different areas, obviously customer success is ahead of the game because that's the organization I'm in. So they never stop hearing about it from me. But with product, it's a little bit more nuanced as well, because we have to be able to show that consistently we're seeing this feedback. And also being empathetic that our product leaders and product managers, they are getting feedback from a billion different places all day long. My plan will be focused on really helping product leaders understand that the community is a great place to be able to validate the insights you already have. The assumption is our product leaders know what they're doing. Maybe they need to understand they need to sunset a feature or add a new one. They're not sure how impactful it will be outside of maybe revenue, how it will impact customers day to day. That's where the community can be helpful. So building that's the plan, is to build a whole kind of communications, engagement, and enablement plan. But right now, just getting started with demos, getting product managers in there, showing them the value.
Yeah. Oh wow, it's going to be going on. Like lots of good things in the works. It's an exciting time. All right,
so
we are at the end of our session. Thank you so much, Phoebe. Please
give you.
And if you have any more questions, Phoebe, can they reach out to where?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter and I'm PhebeCat, PH. Oh, I should just type that in the chat. Why am I spelling it out? Okay. I think that's like my handle pretty much on all the socials. So, I'm just seeing the chat now. Hi, everybody.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Phoebe.
Thanks, Valentina.